we know you must be very busy. We've all been seeing on social media, unfortunately, bushfires happening sometimes in the dead of night, during the day, which definitely is a cause for concern. So speaking about causes, let's just straight into the conversation. What are some of the main causes of bushfires?
Okay, hi, good morning. Good morning to all your viewers and listeners. So the main causes of bushfires, we have the human element. This is human interaction, persons lighting fires for various reasons, burning rubbish, leaving it unattended, clearing land for vegetative purposes. These are some of the natural causes, the human causes. The natural causes would be the extensive heat, the weather. So we have grass piling up. After you've cut the grass, you're leaving it there. As the days go by and the place is very hot, this can start a bushfire. Extensive winds would cause it to spread before you even know. So we have the human element and we have the natural element as the main reasons for the bushfires.
You know, one of the things that we have seen, as I mentioned, the increase on social media is what one can only assume is a human element.
Yes.
We see many times unconfirmed reports coming in that people are burning rubbish if it's not picked up and so much more in order to clear debris in their area. How do you deal with situations like this when they arise?
Firstly, people are supposed to apply for a fire permit. And that helps us regulate the burning so that we'll be able to manage, because fires need a load to begin with. So when you call what you call burning rubbish is eliminating what you'll call the fire load itself, the thing, which could be paper, leaves, etc.
Okay, so let me stop. So load is the thing itself.
Yes,
correct?
the fuel itself.
Okay.
And so when you're burning rubbish, you're engaging with this load. The load itself can emit things, the embers, and these things, unmanaged, can cause the fire to spread and thereby transition from one area to another.
Yeah.
And that is what causes a lot of the fires to move and, you know, to keep progressing.
Right, so we need to get back to the permit conversation, very important, because it's not really something, at least I'll say, you see that much in the public space, so we need to raise awareness. But before we get to that, let's speak a little bit about prevention, specifically when it comes to both the human and the natural causes coming together. They both can be quite negatively impact and cause large fires. So let's start with human causes first. What can we do to increase prevention?
So to increase prevention, housekeeping is very important. Housekeeping meaning that you're cleaning up your space, but you're potentially causing another incident by burning the rubbish and leaving it unattended. So we ask that you keep your areas clean, keep your grass low, maintain your lawns. If you live in areas where you don't have a neighbor and you have a lot next to you, reach out to your various corporations, get assistance in clearing the lots. You can also do a fire trace around your home. So this is just an area that you're clearing so that you, in the event a bushfire starts at the empty lot, it's not going to reach to your home. You clear your gutters, clear your drains, ensure that leaves and other shrubs aren't gathering, so that the embers that Firefighter Davis spoke about, when they get into the guttering and they get into these dry areas, this is how fires are spread.
Now, it's interesting you mentioned that, because these sound as though it's a mix of human causes, of course, being aware, but also these could actually exacerbate natural causes to fire prevention. But what can we also do to really mitigate any possibility of natural fires starting?
You can also manage the ignition itself.
Okay.
So, yes, we know there are persons who may discard things like cigarette butts or deliberately light fires. But even if you were to observe a fire, because most fires start very small, you can also intervene and try to eliminate it and take it as part of social responsibility. So don't just see it as, it doesn't bother me. So yes, we have to manage ignition sources, but even if you were to see it, you can also engage and intervene and try to extinguish it, small ones, etc., and report them as well.
So I'm glad you mentioned that, because, of course, that's one of the things that automatically comes to somebody's mind when they see a bushfire. You call and you report it. But as you would have mentioned, the social responsibility, doing your part, which now comes to how equipped we are as individuals to deal with fires, if we can have that conversation. We know in our homes we're supposed to have fire extinguishers. What other recommendations do you have if dealing with small fires?
Okay, so in relation to the bushfires, so we're going to start there since that's where we're really talking about. Just to touch briefly on the fire permit that Firefighter Davis mentioned. So if you aren't aware, you need to get the information. So that's where the fire guardians come in. So you persons are required to apply for a fire permit. It's only $10. You're applying at any fire station. You indicate that you would like to burn some rubbish or you would like to discard of some sort of vegetation or anything, and fire guardians are going to come to your home. They are going to do they're going to walk around, see where it is you want to burn your rubbish or your debris, and they're going to advise you on what you're supposed to do. Ensure that you have an adequate water supply in the event of an emergency and that things get out of hand, and they are going to give you the directives as to what you're supposed to be doing. So that is one of the things you need to do. We need to be aware of what we are supposed to be doing so that we could avoid any sort of incidents. So once there is a fire now, we're talking about the fire extinguishers in your home in the event that a fire takes place, because we do have structural fires that start as a result of bushfires. Because if a bushfire gets out of control, there's no way to direct where it's going to go. So you can lose your home, you can lose life, property, livestock, vegetative crops. So we advise that you have fire extinguishers in your home. We recommend that you know how to use the fire extinguishers. It's a simple acronym. We always reiterate it. PASS. P-A-S-S. You're going to pull the pin, aim at the base of the fire, squeeze the carrying handle and the discharge lever, and you're spraying from side to side. These work in conjunction with smoke detectors, because smoke detectors detect the earliest sign of smoke. Once smoke is detected, you are able to respond. I always refer to it as a marrying of the two of them, because if you have a smoke alarm and you don't have an extinguisher, you cannot attempt to extinguish this very small fire. If you have an extinguisher but you have no smoke alarm, by the time you do realize there is a fire, it's out of control and the extinguisher is not going to be big enough. So we advise that persons be aware of what they are supposed to do, get the necessary information if you're want to do burn rubbish in your areas. It must be noted that during the dry season or the bushfire season, which runs from December 1st to June 30th every year, you must get a permit. To burn. The fine, if you don't, because you know the enforcement of these things is very important.
Of course. It's
$1,500 and 6 months imprisonment. If something happens, things get out of control, and the legal entities have to get involved.
I'd just like to go back to continuing the permit conversation.
Yes.
As you mentioned, if you want to burn something within your space, of course you go and a fire guardian comes as a walk around, issues a permit, which now takes me to a space where when we look at Trinidad and Tobago, many times we see people when they're doing their gardening, they just light a little fire and they go along their way. Is this something that we have seen consistently increase, or is it something that now we see the awareness, people understanding that we need to dial back on these practices and actually follow the right channels?
And it's good that they follow the right channels because, as you said, someone would think that they're going to simply burn a little heap of leaves and that will be the end of it. Most times, these things smolder and they don't extinguish it. So what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to have it lit. After it burns, you will douse it with water, etc., and try to manage also the area around where you're burning it.
Okay.
Most times, because again, you would not have got proper advice, you think that if I just burn it, it will burn out, and that will be the end of it. And lots of times, that's not the case. So the fire could smolder, wind can take it, embers can travel, and transition it from one area into another.
Can you walk us through the procedure to apply for a permit? I know you said that you go to the fire station, but is it you have to go to the fire station in your area, or can you go to anyone?
You should go to the fire station closest to you within your area. You're going to the office there and you're indicating that you are interested in burning some rubbish. I want to highlight, though, that there is to be no burning within the city limits.
Okay.
So this is specifically for persons who are living outside of the city limit. There is to be no burning in the city limits at any point in time. So we're talking for persons who are living outside of the city limits during the bushfire season. You're coming to the nearest fire station. You're indicating to them that you would like to apply for a fire permit because you have some debris you would like to discard. And they are going to charge you $10, issue you the permit, and you all would make the necessary arrangements for the fire guardians to visit your home. When the fire guardian visits your home, you're going to indicate to them where you would like to burn this debris. They are going to do a walk around, ensure that you have an adequate water supply, so that they are going to tell you that, okay, yes, you can burn the bush in this area. It's supposed to be done between 6 and 8 p.m. in the evening, and they are going to then give you a certain number of days during which time the permit will be valid for you to discard the rubbish.
And how long does it take normally to get a permit for
This
this?
is a walk-in process. You walk
Yeah.
in and you make the payment. And again, it would depend on when it's convenient for the fire guardian and yourself, because you would need to be there to
Right.
do the walk around with them. So you all would determine a time that is convenient for the fire guardian as well as the person who is applying for the permit.
Before we wrap, are there any particular materials that are prohibited or certain size that is prohibited when it comes to the fire permits? Because as we were speaking earlier, people will, just be doing, let's say, yard work and stuff like that, bring their debris together and want to burn it. And it may, let's be frank about it, not be a really large heap.
Yes.
Right? So is it that this is something on a case-by-case basis, or do we know automatically that certain things are off the table?
Right, yes, it is case by case, because they will know if it's going to be burned within a vessel, etc. So the guardian himself would evaluate. But another valid point is when you do discover the fire, what do? And most people think because they see the fire, everyone sees the fire, and the fire service sees the fire. You have to contact us. And the number to contact us is 990, call a hero. So once you contact us, we will then intervene, and then we'll become aware also, so we could, engage and whatnot. You can't just assume that because there's a fire and there's a lot of smoke, that we, the fire service, know the fire exists within that locale.
990, call a hero. Well, Firefighter Davis and Firefighter Belgrove, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Hoping that you have an excellent day, and thank you for your service.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Managing bushfire outbursts during the dry season right here on the Now Morning Show. Stay tuned. There's more coming up after this break.